Hi, everybody. Andrew Champagne alongside JD Fox for this week's edition of Champagne and JD. Big thank you to everybody who tuned in last week for our Kentucky Derby show. It was our most watched show in history, and my father, JD, is not letting me forget it. So you've officially inflated his ego and blown his head up to supersized proportions. On a serious note, thank you. If you like what we do, go on and hit that subscribe button, spread the word on social media. We love doing this for you every week. And one of the reasons we enjoy this so much is because we're able to get a great variety of guests from all around the horse racing world. Our guest this week needs no introduction, but JD, I'm going to give her one anyway because that's just the kind of guy I am. If you are watching the Pollock Reports, the Friday show.
Wait, hold on. How did you say that? The Pollock
Reports, the Friday show. I'm trying to be very proper with my proper nouns here. It's like when they call the very one just the very one. No, it's the very one. Come on, stick with the program here. But we have Chelsea Hackbarth with us this week, and Chelsea has become one of my favorite people to watch on social media because she weekly rips Joe Neville's to shreds, and I positively love it. Chelsea, welcome to the show.
For the record, Joe asks for it every week, so take from that.
Sounds on brand. Yeah, sounds on brand for Joe. Hi, Joe. Hi, Natalie. Hi, underscore. How's everything going? Now, we've got a lot to talk about on this week's show. A lot to talk about. And JD, you're going to have to lead this segment because if I lead this segment, I am going to channel pop stars Dua Lipa and DaBaby by levitating off of my chair in sheer happiness based on what happened on the first Saturday in May. So for the sake of our show, for the sake of the fact that nobody wants to see my midsection here in the camera, I'm going to let you take this. Medina Spirit, the winner of the Kentucky Derby. JD, lead us. You're driving the train.
Well, if you watched the show last week, you'll know that my top choice, Mandaloun, my top choice in the Kentucky Derby, ran second at 28-1. And Chelsea, on the Friday show last week, you gave out the third place finisher as your top selection in the Kentucky Derby. And remind us who that was.
Hot Rod Charlie.
Okay. And Andrew, as his second choice in the Kentucky Derby, pointed out Medina Spirit. Now, his top selection in the race finished behind both of our horses. How do you feel, Chelsea? I think we did better than Andrew personally, based on that. It makes sense. It's science.
I think 28-1 running second. I think you kind of win the week, JD, but it depends on how much money you made on the race.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chelsea.
I'm not supporting you, Andrew. Don't take this.
No. You just said it's about how much money you made on the race. JD, how much in plays did I give out on last week's show?
$30.
And do you recall what I mentioned as far as the betting strategy of the race? Something about a 2A, 2B type situation? That ring any bells for you?
Vaguely, yes.
So what about like a winning $4 exacta returning $1,007.20? Is that ringing any bells for you?
Yeah, I mean, it rings some bells. There's a reminder. I mean, there was a lot of graphics last week. There was a lot of picks given. I do vaguely remember that at this stage.
Good. I'm just making sure you remember that. And if you ever forget it, make no mistake, I'm going to remind you. Probably with this big dopey grin on my face, I might even shave just to maximize the length and the amount of my face this grin can potentially hold without being distracting.
Andrew, who was your top pick?
My top pick was Essential Quality, and Essential Quality, of course, didn't necessarily have a great break. But in all seriousness, going into the analysis of the race, I don't think that necessarily cost Essential Quality much in the way of a placing. He had his preferred trip. He had every chance. And if you look at the final eighth of a mile, the jockey starts hitting him left-handed, and he does respond. The problem is the top three didn't stop. And I had sort of figured Hot Rod Charlie would be one of those horses who wasn't going to let anybody by, but also wasn't going to necessarily pass others late. On another show, I compared him to Mucho Macho Man in that regard. The horses just hit me the exact same way. So when he hit the top of the stretch in third, I'm thinking, okay, please don't let this horse go by. Please don't let this horse go by. Please don't let this horse go by. Well, at the top of the stretch, I thought Mandaloun was home. Cooled out. And I did have a smaller exacta play with Mandaloun on top of both Medina Spirit and Essential Quality. Hot Rod Charlie I did not use. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to come in 7-8. My dad is live to Oaks Derby doubles that pay a ton. JD has a whole bunch of stuff going with Mandaloun. Okay, Essential Quality's coming up on the outside. Wait a minute. Medina Spirit is forgetting to stop. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And the sound you heard when those horses crossed the wire was me jumping up and down from my one apartment here in Northern California and doing everything I could to not emit Pete Weber's "Who do you think you are? I am" response after he won the U.S. Open many years ago. That's day in the life.
The other sound you heard was JD and I throwing things at the television set.
JD doesn't strike me as a thrower, but you have mentioned that you did throw some things, Chelsea.
I threw the dog toys, and the dog was excited about that. So, no harm, no foul.
Hey, you get a happy dog, it cancels a lot out. Now, JD, your thoughts. You look as though you were about to say something, and I don't want to cut you off.
I'm just glad I live at the end of a cul-de-sac, so only one neighbor had to hear me screaming.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not what happened here.
Joking aside, Andrew, you did a great job giving out the on-air selection. And obviously, I did back wheel your horse on top of my horse as one of the plays I made because I felt it was worthy to spend our $30 budget and put a $15 bet on Mandaloun. If that would have came in, that would have paid more than your $4 exacta did. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just saying.
Well, it didn't, did it?
Andrew, I need you to know that I had a $5 super box with Mandaloun, Hot Rod Charlie, Essential Quality, and Obesos.
Oh.
Do you know where they finished?
I believe that was the not quite fecta of 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. They should pay something for that.
They should. Gosh darn it.
We have money back specials in every ADW for win wagers. Someone somewhere should come up with the not quite fecta.
I like it. I would win that a lot.
Hey, and me too. I've got Polish relatives that call it a Polish exacta when your horses run 1-3 or 2-3. So I'm just saying, there's precedent for this, and there's some ADW out there that could make some money as part of a promotion there. Congratulations, every marketing person out there. I've just given you a free idea. That's my gift. But anyway, leaving the Derby in the rear view for a moment, we're now on to the Preakness. That'll be coming up a week from this Saturday. And the stories around the Preakness, most of them revolve not around who's running, but about who is not running. Of course, it's a 2-week turnaround. In the case of most thoroughbreds, that's just a wee bit too fast because horses aren't bred to run more than once every, say, month to 2 months, maybe 3 months if you're really handling a delicate horse and or your owner doesn't like to lose. Just throwing that out there. Maybe we need to revitalize the breeding game just a wee bit. However, the Preakness coming up, and of the runners that are running against Medina Spirit, one of them, everybody grab your drinking glasses, okay? Everybody is going to be a new shooter in the form of Concert Tour. Concert Tour was considered by many to be one of the Kentucky Derby favorites heading into the Arkansas Derby. JD, you and I both really liked this horse in the Arkansas Derby. We thought he was sitting on a big race, and he bounced hard. He bounced hard off his effort in the Rebel, ran third in the Arkansas Derby. Bob Baffert opted to skip the Kentucky Derby with him and train him onward to the Preakness. Now, from a handicapping perspective, I hated that move for a number of different reasons. One, because I was looking forward to betting him in the Kentucky Derby if he was to run there, because now instead of getting 10-1 in the Kentucky Derby off of that clunker, we're going to have to settle for what? 4-1, maybe, in the Preakness against the shorter field?
Yeah, right now as it stands, a week and change out. I mean, we've got 10 horses that we think are going to be signed on. I'll cycle through them quickly. Concert Tour, you mentioned. Crowded Trade, who ran third in the Wood. France Go to Ina, my selection. We'll get to that shortly. Keep Me in Mind, who I thought ran a really strong seventh in the Kentucky Derby, ran a good race, had a little bit of traffic trouble, could improve off of that effort. Obviously, Medina Spirit, Midnight Berman, who finished right ahead of Keep Me in Mind in 6th place, Ram, who just won an allowance event at Churchill for Dwayne Lucas, Risk Taking, who obviously didn't run at all in the Wood, finished 7th in that race, Ron Bauer coming off of the 3rd place effort in the Bluegrass, and Unbridled Honor, who just won an allowance event at Keeneland. So those are the 10 horses that we're looking at. And I think we're going to see a crowded line to bet on Concert Tour. I don't like Crowded Trade at all, but I wanted to throw that in there. I don't think we're even going to get 3-1 on Concert Tour as the new shooter here. I think we're going to get 5-2.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that we're in that kind of situation, but now we're in a spot where, okay, I cashed big on Medina Spirit. Is there a chance he's not the favorite?
Oh, yeah, a big chance. So some behind-the-scenes information on a Concert Tour here. There was an issue the week of the Arkansas Derby where his saddle slid forward during his morning gallop, and as confirmed by the exercise rider in her blog, which I didn't know that most exercise riders had blogs, but that's pretty cool. And when the saddle slides forward up onto the horse's shoulders, you have no brakes. You have no steering, no brakes, no nothing. You're just sort of along for the ride until they decide to stop. So she got the horse pulled up, but probably not precisely when she was intended to do so. So then it didn't surprise me at all when the horse lost the Arkansas Derby. Sorry, I guess maybe I should have told you guys that. Oops.
What the hell?
So when Concert Tour showed up in Louisville, he looked like he'd lost 100 pounds after the running of the Arkansas Derby. He looked horrible. Bob jogged him for like the first week and a half that he was here. And now he's put all the weight back on, looks fine, worked really, really well Sunday after Derby? Monday after Derby, something like that. So yes, I think coming into that, he will be your big favorite, but Speed Duels apparently took quite a bit out of him. So there's your behind the scenes.
We appreciate that for sure. That really is some key information. And we'll talk a little bit more about the connection between horse and rider and everything that you learn being on the back of a horse. I got to tell you, I do not have any horsemanship at all whatsoever. The only person my size that ever looked good on a horse was John Wayne. I rode a couple of horses as a kid on a vacation, and that's as much as I ever did, much to the delight, I'm sure, of a bunch of four-legged animals out there who would not want to carry my rear end as part of their baggage. So it's always good to hear that stuff, seriously, because I have a tremendous respect for the people that know what they're doing around horses, know how horses operate. I read a form. I look at numbers. I watch replays. That's what I do. That's where my strengths are. Being able to be that dialed in with regard to horses is something special. And that's a segue into the second part of the show. JD, it's almost like I went to broadcasting school or something.
Perhaps.
Yeah. So, Chelsea, you had a connection to a horse that appeared on the Kentucky Oaks Kentucky Derby Day cards. It wasn't necessarily one of the runners that people were able to bet on, but this is a really cool story, and I got to hear it from you because I have heard little bits and little pieces and tried to fit them in together, but this is freaking awesome. So tell us a little bit more about this.
So when I graduated from the University of Louisville's equine industry program in 2015, I picked up a job outriding at Prairie Meadows in Iowa, and I needed a second horse. I already had my primary mount, Uno, and I needed a second one. And I went looking. A friend of mine pointed out this son of Street Cry that was pretty freshly off the track, but he was trained by Christophe Clement, so he's probably had quite a bit of schooling in the morning, and he's got a pretty good brain usually. I went, I sat on him, I loved him, I brought him home, I named him Dose, because when you have an Uno, you should have a dose. That's just how my brain works anyway. Started him taught him how to pony on a little hunter jumper farm in Louisville. Took him to Iowa, started out riding on him, mostly just walking up and down the horse path between races with him. But he learned quite a bit. And then one morning he was pretty gimpy, and we x-rayed him, and he'd broken a splint bone. So I sent him home to my friend Fifi, Marilyn Montavon, who runs a string of ponies in Kentucky. She kicked him out for a couple months, brought him back, and he's been working for her ever since. He's who I ride every time I work for Fifi, so I got to ride him. I took Enable on him at the 2018 Breeders' Cup at Churchill. That was really cool. I took Thunder Snow on him both times when he was in Louisville.
Was Dose the one that gave Thunder Snow the idea of treating the Kentucky Derby like a rodeo?
Funny story that. Dose got loose on Derby Day this year, so it's entirely possible that he told Thunder Snow to do inappropriate things. This year, Dose decided that after the national anthem was played right before the Turf Classic, that he was going to take a solo tour of the stretch of Churchill Downs, just sort of at a leisurely lope, all by himself. He did not drop the rider, for the record. Let's just throw that out there. The rider is a veteran and had stepped off, put his helmet over his heart, for the national anthem, and Dose decided that he wasn't going to stand for that. Apparently, he didn't like it when the crowd cheered. I don't know. He has really strong opinions about his life. He's a really, really good pony when you're working with a racehorse, but the guy that rides him, Rusty, as Rusty would say, if you go to break one off, which means taking one to the pole in the mornings, like when they're breezing, so you're going pretty fast with them, when you let go of the racehorse, you better be tied on, because Dose will mess with you. And he can buck. He's got a big buck. So, yeah, he's naughty, but I also kind of love that about him, because he knows his job and when he has to be good, and he knows when he doesn't really. So.
But there was also, Chelsea, a sweeter moment with Dose that happened and was caught by NBC's cameras as well. So we have to show both sides of the coin here.
Oh, absolutely. There was a small child, and she was doing the thing with the petting on the pony's face, and I made squeeze all through the condo building and cried a little, and had a very girly moment during the NBC telecast. So I texted JD. I was like, I need a picture. I don't have the thing where you can rewind live TV, and I missed it. I need a picture. So then I posted it on social media and did not give him credit for it. But it's fine. He doesn't care.
That's the spirit.
Medina spirit.
I wasn't going to go there, JD. You did, but it's okay, because JD doesn't do stuff for the likes. He does it for the love of the game, and that's what makes him such a good producer, both of this show and of other content that's produced around the thoroughbred industry. So, you mentioned a couple of different things in there. I got to hear the Enable story, because that's way cool. This was back when Enable was probably the most talented horse
ever seen in person, easily.
I mean, she comes over, and what was it like being that close to greatness in that kind of setting? That has to be something that you're going to remember for a long time.
I've got a picture of me and her on my wall in my bedroom. So, so I actually told Ray right after she won the ARC, I said, she's coming for the Breeders' Cup. And he told me, no way. And no way. So when she pulled up to Churchill Downs, I was pretty excited about that. And the first time she came out in the morning, and I begged and begged and begged and begged. I told Fifi, the lady that I work for on the backstretch, I said, I have to take Enable. I have to take her. I've been excited about this for like 3 months now. I have to take Enable. This is the best thing ever. When she walked out of the quarantine area towards me, just the lady that runs the ponies back there, and sort of runs the whole show, goes, here comes the queen. And all the cameras swing your way. And you're like, oh God, don't do anything stupid, horse. Either one of you. Please. That's the only thing going through my mind. And so Anthony Proctor, who is the head traveling lad for John Gosden, I handed him the strap, and he put it through her bridle and handed her to me. And he said, she's never been with a pony before, but you'll be fine. Okay. Great. And luckily I had taken a couple on dose already that morning, so he wasn't feeling frisky or anything. And we just turned up. We walked all the way, flat-footed walked. She was totally calm and cool. She nibbled on Dose's shoulder a little bit. She's like, oh, I can bite him? This is great. This is the best thing ever. I get to abuse the pony? This is fabulous. I am the queen. And her Gallup boy is this, or at least was then, his name was Imran. And he is this Pakistani kid that drove a taxi part-time in the UK. So, like, can you imagine getting in the UK and your taxi driver rides an Able in the mornings? Like, what? Like, no, you don't. There's no way you do. I've got pictures. What? Okay. So anyway, I can barely understand him. And I'm listening to Tony, and we're just jogging around the chute the first morning, and she's loving it. Dose is behaving. Everything's going well. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can breathe now. This is fine. And then the next morning, Frankie comes out on her, and he's such a character. He was telling me a story about his strip club experience in the United States, which is not repeatable.
I mean, it is. We're not guarded by any, official standards and practices. You can tell whatever story you want. Just know that your face is going to be on it.
I don't think Frankie would appreciate that, and I really like Frankie. So I did happen to mention after that I was technically part of the media, so he should keep those stories to himself. But he comes out and he loves her to death. And he's making fun of her long ears. He calls her a donkey. He said she makes him more money than his wife does. It's pretty, it's just, and the coolest part, I guess, about working with her is like, she knew that she was cool, like that she was the queen. She absolutely knew that she would never really turn a hair when we were walking across the concrete. She was just calm and cool. And she's like, yep, everybody's looking at me and they should be. Like, the one morning she did get upset. We had gone out to take her to the turf course, and we had gone out a bit early. They'd sent us out too early, and people were still galloping. So we were trying to walk down the fence line, and people were galloping by on my left side, which was the opposite side that she was on. And every time somebody galloped by, she'd like scoot sideways. And there's a fabulous picture of her like almost running over Tony Proctor. and Dose and I are just like, it's pretty great. I think Eric Calais took that for us. He's a good photographer that works for us a lot. And I was like, God, I hope I don't lose a hold of this horse in front of all these people. Please don't. So I told Tony to give her to me, and we jogged away and kept her feet moving and kept her brain. If you move their feet, their brain will usually follow. If you try and get them to stand still, that's when they start doing really stupid stuff. So we managed to maintain everyone in the same place until she could go out to the turf course, thankfully. But that was nerve-wracking.
You never want to be the link in the chain that causes something else to go wrong. And that's a tough spot to be in. Granted, if you're an outrider, those are the kinds of horses you dream about working with. But at the same time, you feel all those eyes on you and you're going, don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up. So that's...
I must have done a decent job because Gosden sent horses back for the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland this past fall. And apparently he asked the quarantine people for me to come pony his horses, like by name, which I was not expecting that. So that was pretty
nice.
Cool. Yeah. Apparently they had another filly that was a little bit funny in the mornings. So they wanted me to take her, and we never had an issue. So that was nice. It was Medallia. Yeah.
Did she tell any good jokes?
Her rider spoke more English, so probably. But I've slept a lot since then, and it wasn't quite as terrible.
You said she was funny, so I had to ask. Like, is the stand-up tour coming?
No, funny like, not funny ha-ha, funny like, maybe there's a screw loose in that one's brain.
I know. I mainly just said that to get the reaction out of JD, and I got the one I wanted with him doing the rim shot with the pens. So it's good to know that I can still push his buttons and that I haven't lost my touch.
I'm sure he appreciates it.
So one thing we can take away so far, Chelsea, is you might have something numerology based in your love of horses, and I want to talk about a horse that you pinhooked for a bloodstock company that you co-founded, Quattro Bloodstock, with your friend Steph Settles, and you ended up pinhooking a daughter of Sister is Devil that people may have seen on the track recently.
Point of order, really quick. You have uno and dos. Quattro is you skipped one. Where's Trace?
No, I didn't. We had one. We had a gelding named Trey.
Okay.
Not Trace, but Trey. And I started him as a pony. I actually wrote a whole series about it for the Pollock Report. But he decided he didn't want to be a pony, so now he has a happy life jumping sticks with a girl in Lexington. And then I also had a Cinco, and he now has a happy life jumping sticks in Texas. So I'm ready for Sace. Here we go. My checkbook says no. No, you're not.
Yeah. But you did manage to pinhook a winner, and JD so eloquently led into this. Tell us a little bit about that.
That was I was more nervous when she went through the ring than I was taking Enable at any point during the Breeders' Cup. So she's a daughter of Daredevil. Her name is Sister is Devil. She's a cheap little horse. She broke her maiden, I think, for $16,000, but she won a race, gosh darn it, and that's all that matters. We took her, my friend Steph and I did it together with a couple of investors. We took her to the Hunter Jumper farm where we keep our horses, and we ponied her around off of our little stock horse types all around the jumps, the dogs running around between her legs. She saw jet skis up and down the Ohio River. I mean, she was broke by the time she got back to Keeneland. I actually had thrown a saddle on her. I put a bridle on her. I didn't get on her, but I mean, she was ready to go. So that was really cool. I mean, just watching a horse grow up from a $2,000 short yearling at Keeneland January, and then taking her back to Keeneland September. I decided not to do it again because the amount of anxiety that I felt from the point where we dropped her off at the sales grounds to when she went through the ring, I don't ever want to feel that again in my life. I think my mom took pictures of, it was actually really cute. Ray Pollock, Natalie, Joe, my parents, Steph, a bunch of our friends, everybody came out to watch this cheap little yearling go through the second to last day of the Keeneland sale. So she's got this entourage following her around the back ring. And then everybody's looking at her page like, who the hell is this? And my mom took pictures of me standing there listening to the bidding, and my face, I think I have no color at all in my face. I've got my hands like this across my chest. And then as soon as the bidding stopped and the hammer dropped, I then literally fell down a little bit. I was so relieved that we had gotten some amount of money for her, more than what we put in. So I was terrified. I literally don't ever want to go through that again.
So to fix your story a little bit, Chelsea, you don't need to mention the maiden claiming 16 where she broke the maiden on March 25th. You can just say she broke the maiden at Gulfstream Park. I mean, that just sounds so much better.
I'm nothing if not honest, okay? I'll tell you that I won the blue ribbon, but gosh darn it, I was the only one in the class.
Okay, you're going to be honest, and you told this when we talked about this on the Pollock Report, so I'll bring this up now. How many days after that maiden win did it take for you to find out she had won the race? 3, 4? I mean, I stopped watching the races because it took her 11 starts to break her maiden. I stopped watching. I couldn't handle it. I was like, well, she's going. She's not going. She's stopping. Oh, God, what did I do? So, I mean, apparently I don't have the internal fortitude to watch horses that I had anything to do with run races. So, and I used to groom at Beulah Park. So we ran those horses a lot, and I was never as nervous watching those run as I am watching her every single time.
Well, it's one of those things, though, where I think you might need to, take a couple of tips from your Pollock Reports, the Friday show co-host, Joe Nevels, in, taking some tips from the bloodstock world as far as advertising your horses. And I believe that's what JD was trying to do. I mean, all you have to do is say, broke the maiden in the championship meet at Gulfstream Park. And all of a sudden,
championship meet? Or was it
was it March?
March 25th.
Yeah.
Barely. Barely.
It counts. It counts. Check the box and move on.
Let me tell you this, Andrew. If the bloodstock agents aren't looking that up before they decide to buy one of my horses, then they're not in this game for very long. Okay.
I'm just saying, I've seen very, very bad horses sell for lots of money off of flimsier reasoning than that.
Well, I mean, maybe that's why I'm not cut out for this business. I'm a little too honest.
Well, that's one of the reasons we like you and we like watching the Friday show, because when you get honest and the tempers start flaring, it makes for some really fun television. So if you haven't seen
the replay, Ray? Did you watch the replay? Do you remember watching that episode, JD? That was really fun.
Dear.
I think Ray wore his murder face for most of that episode.
His murder face.
Oh, he has one.
And then we had a contest where I made that the winning phrase that you needed to win the contest by burying that in the credits. There's lots of fun, and I have lots of fun in the credits. And usually it's at Chelsea's expense, to be honest, putting together that show. But we have a lot of fun when the cameras aren't rolling on that show, and we talk a lot about stories. So you mentioned, some of the good stuff with Enable and, Frankie Dettori and those sorts of things, Chelsea, but, other stories from being around the track, because obviously you've had several stops. You're based in Louisville now. But you mentioned Prairie Meadows, obviously the Des Moines metropolitan area, one of the places on this earth that is very close to my heart. In fact, when Anthony Stabile today asked for recommendations for restaurants for Bobby Newman, I know we both chimed in on that, Chelsea. So do you have any good stories from your time at Prairie Meadows?
My recommendation for Prairie Meadows restaurant totally topped all of yours. I don't care what you say. Zombie Burger is where it's at, yo.
George the Chili King, come on.
Did you never go to Zombie Burger? Because
it wasn't a thing when I lived there. I mean,
well, see, that's the problem, because they have my favorite. Okay, I probably shouldn't be talking about this on a horse racing show, but they have a burger called the Walking Ched, and that just tickles me in all the right ways, and that just makes me happy. So that's what I ate.
I don't know. I'm looking at this, and when I see Tally Ho To Go topping the list of restaurants in Des Moines, Iowa, that to me hits me as the winner in all the right ways, because you get not just Italian food, but alliteration. And I would like to remind anybody watching at this point in the show, sponsorship opportunities are available. If you are interested, contact either myself or JD via Twitter at Andrew Champagne at Horse Tickets. We're definitely willing to chat with you, and we're happy to do whatever we can in order to spread the word about some of the things you're doing, some of the food you're serving. We work fairly cheap, so by all means, reach out. Let us know.
So
Prairie Meadows stories, Chelsea. Prairie Meadows stories. Do you have any Prairie Meadows stories from your time in Altoona, Iowa, driving past a theme park to get into where you needed to get to the barn area? One of the great layouts in all of the country.
So one of my favorite horses that I worked with there was a little filly, and her name escapes me, but it doesn't really matter. I was riding this green pony. So green meaning he hadn't been working very long, not like he was actually the color green, Andrew. I just feel like I just feel like that's important. Okay, some people don't know what that means. I'm sorry. You said you're not a horse person. Dang it! I'm trying to be helpful. So this pony I've been working this pony for maybe 3 weeks at this point. He was a really good boy, but really young and didn't really know what he was doing. And this filly, I took her out with no rider, so just a halter and a chain shank around her nose. And we would go to the training track, which is a half mile up there, JD?
It's a ways.
It's not very. No, the main track's really far away. Thankfully, the training track is not, but I think it's a half mile around.
Yeah, it's a half mile train track. But what I was saying is it's one of the further places, barn area to main track, you're going to find in the country. So it's kind of off in its own little world.
There's a hike, but this filly was more. She was more kite than horse most days. So it was taking her around the training track. She's one of the only horses I've ever seen that could gallop on two legs, preferably her back legs. So her front feet would be about at my eye level, and we take 5 or 6 strides, and her front feet would never move from my eye level, and my hand is just up here in the sky, and I'm riding this really young pony. I'm like, God, this is going to end badly for both of us. And so the first time she comes down, she grabbed the rein out of my hands, like the rein for the pony. So now I'm on this young pony with no steering, with a kite that's still going up and down next to me. And I'm like, boy. At what point do you decide that you should bail? Like, at what point does it become my life is more important than what I'm trying to do here? So I tried one thing before I got off. I said, whoa. And I sat down real deep, and this really, bless his heart, this pony, he stopped. He came to a dead stop in the middle of the racetrack. I held onto the horse, picked up the rein, took off galloping again, and I was like, well, goddamn, I'm never going to get that lucky again in my life. There's so many almost disasters. And also, Prairie Meadows is the place where I learned that I am a much better pony person than gallop hand. I should not gallop racehorses. That's just not a thing that I'm good at.
And what sort of firsthand knowledge did you get that spurred you to that conclusion?
I hit the dirt a lot.
Oh.
There was a mare that I used to gallop in the mornings, and she took great delight in making me take that long trek from the main track back to the barn area by myself, which is an awful walk because everyone that you walk past is like, yep, been there, and you're covered in sand. It's great.
At least there's a water park within walking distance with some hot tubs to soak afterwards at Prairie Meadows. I mean, that's one thing it has going for it.
I never went to the theme park. It's not really my idea to do that.
Never went to Adventureland. Wow.
It's called Adventureland. It feels like it's for small children. We're all small children. They pee in the water at the water parks, JD. Did you not know that? Because you should test the water before you get in it.
Chlorine's a powerful drug.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
First drug reference on the show, 35 minutes in. I'm proud of that.
Yeah. And now I knew about that with water parks, but that's mainly because my girlfriend was a competitive swimmer for a while and taught at a swim school during college. So I know a little bit more, and now she's going to kill me if she watches this show because she doesn't like me reminding her that she's actually a really good athlete and, knows how to swim competitively and could probably kick my ass in a pool. But kidding aside, you got to have a certain set of being able to be wired to do the things that you've done as far as being an outrider, as far as being somebody that's been on the pony. What are some of the things that you got to know in order to do that stuff that somebody like me who would never, ever, ever, not once, not in a million years, do that stuff in the mornings, nobody around, let alone tens of thousands of people looking at you as you're ponying an able around. What are some of the things that you need to have in your arsenal as far as tools in your skill set, things you need to depend on in order to do those things well that schmoes like me would have no idea about?
Well, you should know which end to feed the peppermint and which end kicks. That's a good start. Sorry, it was right. You left the door open and I Kool-Aid manned right through.
No, I'm okay with the assist there. I passed it. You laid it in. We're all good.
I think the most important thing when you're working with any horse, not just high-class horses, is being able to anticipate what they're going to react to and how they're going to react to it. So watching their body language, reading because their bodies will tell you what they're going to do before they do it. Specifically their ears, the tension in their neck, because that's usually the most of the horse that I can see when I'm ponying. So my eyes are almost constantly on the horse next to me. And sometimes I'm looking around making sure I don't hit anyone else, which is also the problem. But being able to anticipate what they're going to do. So and then I'm listening too. So when for example, with Enable, when those horses were galloping up behind me, I could hear their hoofbeats coming. And you have to be able to tell how far away from you those hoofbeats are. So you know when the horse is going to leap forward and you're ready to send your pony horse forward with the horse. Ideally, a really good pony would do that for you. Some of them don't. Some of them are tired and lazy. They've worked hard all day. I get it. But just being able to follow what they're doing, and it's when you can't anticipate what they're doing, or when crazy things happen, you just have to be able to react quickly and go with them. Especially like if something flies in front of the horse, they're probably going to spook backwards. If something flies next to them, they're going to come into you. If they're running backwards, at some point you have to stop chasing and let them come to you. It's just, and it's stuff you don't learn by somebody telling you what to do necessarily. It's stuff you learn by making the mistakes and figuring out, oh, well, that sure didn't work. So let's try something else next time. And then I think you also have to have good hands when you're riding the pony. And even when you're working with these horses on the ground, you have to have a soft touch but a firm touch at the same time, which sounds sort of opposite, I guess, doesn't it? Like you have to be gentle, but and at the same time you have to be, here's the rule. Okay, that you're not following the rule. Please come back to the rule. Okay, here you are. Oh no, we're not. Okay, here. It's like dealing with 1,200-pound toddlers. It's great. At least I don't have kids. I imagine that's what toddlers are like.
It's not necessarily just toddlers either. Again, girlfriend teaches third grade. I get it more than most.
My roommate teaches preschool, so I'm with you. I don't understand it. Give me the 1,200-pound toddler every day.
Well, you've certainly shown an aptitude for handling 1,200-pound toddlers, and that makes for some really cool stories that we're delighted you took some time to share with us. So, Chelsea, thank you very much. Time now for our final thoughts segment, and Chelsea, this is where we give our guests an open mic to talk about anything in the world they'd like to talk about. This is journalism without a net, and you're hitting lead off here. So anything in particular you'd like to expound upon, anything you'd like to promote, the floor is yours.
Well, it sure would have been nice if you'd warned me about this. Can someone else?
It's been in the rundown the entire show.
Well, I didn't know what it meant. There's not a final thoughts - make shit up. Like, help me out here.
JD, constructive criticism for next week and moving forward. Final thoughts and make shit up. That needs to be in the rundown. Make it work.
We'll see what we can do. It might be too many characters like the Jockey Guild. I'm not sure we can fit that in, but I'll go ahead, and I'm going, as usual, I'm going out in left field, and where I'm going is Saturday at Sunray Park. The Jack Cole Stakes, it's a New Mexico bred stakes race. I am so excited for New Mexico horsemen that they are back being able to run New Mexico bred thoroughbred stakes races at Sunray Park. Pretty much all of these horses were running at Turf Paradise. They're back in New Mexico. 2-1 favorite is Thunderdome, who ran in some stakes races at Turf Paradise, including the Luke Kreitbosch Stakes. So excited for New Mexico horsemen for that. Since we didn't get back to it, I'm going to do a second final thought because I'm allowed.
Says who?
Says me.
Okay.
You're outvoted, Andrew. Sorry.
I mentioned that I wanted to talk a little bit about Francisco de Ina for the Preakness. Just getting you guys just set for the horse that's going to win the Preakness at 45-1 in a 10-horse field.
I hope so for your sake, but I kind of doubt it.
So, Son of Will Take Charge out of a Curlin Mare Dreamy Blues. You have top and bottom Preakness experience, including a Preakness winner there. Has ran well in Japan, ran well, but ran into a lot of trouble and Maidan in a track that did not necessarily suit the horse at the UAE Derby. Still finished a pretty strong sixth. Joel Rosario, who was on that day, will pick the mount back up for the Preakness, and I think that's huge as he's running for connections, obviously over in Japan. But this is a Kentucky bred that was purchased and brought to Japan, so obviously has just a regal pedigree and should love the distance and should love the track at Pimlico. So, and of course, I have to mention not going to be able to bet on that race. So if this horse really comes in, given the Arizona situation, I am going to probably cry for days and may quit horse racing altogether.
See you Monday. That's my rallying cry for anybody that says they're quitting horse racing. See you tomorrow. See you Monday.
All right, Andrew. Okay. We need to give Chelsea as much time as possible. And hi, Rachel. I'm wearing a Racing Rachel shirt.
You got a Racing Rachel shirt?
Oh, we're so jealous.
I mean, Rachel's the best. Even if Indiana Grand, this meet is kicking my butt.
I don't have the shirt. Rachel never sent me the shirt. So now I need to go and send a nasty gram to Racing Rachel and probably work in a wrestling promo at some point.
Well, now
so speaking of that, Andrew, we're going to give Chelsea all the time that she needs to come up with her final thought. Why don't you go ahead?
Sure. I'm going to give some kudos here, and this is a really good streak that I'm on as far as final thoughts and being positive. We'd like to congratulate a friend of the program, a woman who's been a guest once or twice, Jessica Paquette. She has been named the racing analyst at Colonial Downs. Think the world of her. She is absolutely awesome, both on air and off camera. Just a phenomenal person who puts in a lot of work around the industry. She's got a ton of passion. She's going to do great work. They got a great team down at Colonial, of course. Jason Beam's been the track announcer down there. Jill Byrne in one of the leadership positions. And now Jessica Paquette. It's going to be a really fun product to watch. Jessica, congratulations. You've earned it. Pick a lot of winners.
That is cool.
And pay attention to your sister track, Arizona Downs, starting in June, because those two tracks, same ownership. There's going to be some synergy there and some cross promotion. So excited for that, whether Jessica knows that or not. I'm here to help.
Yes, you are. And speaking of help, Chelsea, did we give you enough time to formulate a fun final thought?
Sure. It has nothing to do with horse racing, really.
That's fine.
I just want to wish good luck to the girl that leases my childhood pony from me this weekend. She's going to a horse show in Ohio, and the pony is going to be 25 years old this summer. He's an Arabian, and the girl, it's actually Robbie Alvarado's daughter, Larkin, and I hope she goes and kicks big butt in Ohio.
If if the horse is an Arabian, does that mean Joe Nevels has handicapped it at some point in time?
Not unless he was handicapping it, bucking me off as a small child.
I'm just saying I wouldn't put it past them.
I don't think Texas ever ran at a racetrack. Not that he couldn't have. He sure thinks he did. We got in a lot of trouble with these horses, with these Arabians when we were kids. We used to race them up and down the pastures. I'm pretty sure we should have died like 10 times over. But it's fine. Texas is going strong at 25 years old, and it's really cool to watch Larkin grow up with him, because she's had him for almost 2 years now. And it's one of my favorite things. I get more, actually, you know what? I take it back. I get more nervous watching that than I got watching the horse go through the sales ring. I'm like, make good choices, please. Nobody Everybody come back alive.
Hey, that's every horse player ever. When you're watching anything, just make good decisions. Make good decisions. Everybody has been in that particular place where you're just praying for anyone, make good decisions. And in this case, good luck to everybody involved in that situation. That's a really cool story, and a bunch of really cool stories this week from our guest, Chelsea Hackbarth. Chelsea, where can people find you on social media? Anything else that you're doing? One final spot to plug what you're doing before we head off the air.
I work for the College Report, man. That's pretty much my whole life. Like, I go to horse shows, I take care of my horses, and I work for Ray. That's Boss Man has it on lock. I don't know what to tell you.
That's your Twitter bio right there. I'm just saying. Just throwing that out there.
She doesn't have one, so it should be.
Oh, God. I only got a Twitter because Ray hired me. And Ray hired me from a Facebook message. So I just, that's my whole life right there.
Hey, nothing wrong with that at all whatsoever. And Chelsea, thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it. We love what you do on the Friday show. Keep that going, and best of luck in everything that you do.
You too. Thanks for
having me.
All right.
It's our pleasure. So for JD Fox, I'm Andrew Champagne. I've refrained from levitating this whole time, so that's exactly what I'm going to do when we go off the air here. I'm just warning you guys in advance. I may well hit my head and have to go to a hospital because these ceilings are a little bit on the shallow side, and I go 6'5". But for our special guest, Chelsea Hackbarth, for JD Fox, I'm Andrew Champagne. JD, hit him with the catchphrase, will you please?
Everybody stay safe out there and stay off the beaches.
If this is it, thank you for everything, Albert Pujols.
Other sports reference.